Hello YouTube! My name is Gauntlet and today I will introduce you to my Operation Pangaea series. First off, let's go over some of the nomenclature so you guys can understand what I'm going to show you. This is an infantry division, this is a light armor division, this is an airborne division, and so on. An infantry division will have 8 infantry, 8 artillery, 8 anti-tank, and 8 anti-air, give or take. A light armor division will have 7 light tanks, an airborne division will have 5 paratroopers, a tank destroyer division will have 6 tank destroyers with a couple light tanks in support. A tactical bomber wing will be about 5 bombers, and an interceptor wing will be about 5 interceptors. Now, let's look at Phase 1 of Operation Pangaea. Alright, these red lines show advances, and the green lines show defensive perimeters. So, in Phase 1, it's just going to be a pre-day preparation. So this is what I'm going to do before I go to bed. I'm going to move my infantry divisions and light armor divisions out into the water. And before that, I'm going to make sure my bombers and interceptors and navy have cleared the way off my coast so that no enemy ships are here to sink my convoys. So, they'll move out. I'll form a defensive perimeter with my planes and ships. I'll also have a raiding force go around and make sure it is well protected before it lands the next day. I also have my second wave still being formed up in the rear, and when it's ready, I'll push it up to the coastline as it prepares to disembark as well. I hope to have all of my units in their ready positions by the start of tomorrow morning, so I have a full day to complete all of the other phases in this operation and complete all the tactics I need to use to destroy my enemy and allow my units to land and conquer Africa with minimal casualties. Now, on to Phase 2. This is all about creating the Atlantic Passage, meaning I have to clear out all of the enemy submarines between myself and Africa. I have to eliminate the enemy surface fleets that are blocking my units from landing or could move in and start bombarding them. My plan for that is to use submarines to pin their surface fleets and allow my battleships to destroy them while they're pinned. And once that's done, I can also use my battle fleet to bomb the enemy coastline and destroy enemy artillery, but mostly I'll be using my tactical bombers to destroy enemy shore defenses. I will also be disembarking the second wave at the same time so that they're already ready to reinforce the first wave if all goes well. And also, the raiding force will move to the coast and also prepare to land in Phase 3. Phase 3 is landing the first wave, the main force will land here, and the raiding force will land up north. Of course, before I even start landing, I have to make sure the landing ground is safe, meaning no artillery can move in to bombard my units as they're disembarking, and also no artillery or enemy stacks can move in and cut off my stacks from each other and defeat them in detail. I want my units to be able to support each other in this tiny beachhead that they've made. The raiding force will land and quickly spread out and do as much damage and cause as much of a distraction as possible. So the enemy forces will have to move north to contain that, and that will limit the amount of forces that will be sent against the main invasion in French Sudan. I will continue to use tactical bombers and shore bombardment to weaken the enemy ground forces, so my ground forces will have an easier time. I will also be very aggressive with my aircraft because they are much more easily replaced. I can produce them for my corps, send them to my carriers, and continue to replace, whereas if I lose convoys, if I lose ground units, it's going to take days for them to get to the battlefield, whereas aircraft would take hours. And once my first 2 infantry divisions, my 2 light tank divisions, and my paratroopers have landed, then I can start constructing naval bases, barracks, and air bases to provide quick reinforcements and allow units to get in there more quickly I can begin Phase 4. Phase 4 is all about expanding the beachhead, providing more of a buffer zone for my units, which will prevent me from being pushed back into the sea very easily. The main force of the first wave will expand their holdings as quickly as possible, push out, destroy any opposition. The infantry divisions, their main task will be destroying the enemy armies. My light armor divisions will be focused on taking land, taking cores, scouting. The raiding force will also try to do the same thing. They'll take cores, they will cause confusion and disruption behind enemy lines. They will divert units away from the main force. I will also continue to construct air bases on the coastline so my aircraft from my carriers can all move into the mainland of Africa, and I won't have to rely on my carriers and their limited storage space to fly aircraft. All my aircraft can be flown from land bases in an unlimited supply. I will also be constructing forts and level 2 air bases when necessary in order to provide extra protection to my aircraft and ground units. I will also be trying to build level 2 air bases in industrial complexes so I can start building rockets on the African continent, which will be used to great effect to destroy enemy air forces on the ground or stationary enemy stacks. And once I have greatly secured my position here, my second wave can begin moving to the coast and landing, and that will give me all the tools I need to complete Phase 5. Phase 5 is all about achieving a breakthrough into Africa. The first wave, as it pushes forward, and the second wave moves in behind, I will combine their forces and do a concerted push outwards in all directions, trying to overwhelm the enemy with superior numbers, tactics, and speed. The airbase network should be firmly established. My aircraft should be able to cover the entire front line. My paratroopers should be harassing the enemy air force and their air bases. Infantry divisions should continue to destroy enemy infantry and enemy armor divisions. My light tanks will primarily be scouting still and taking land. And most of the reinforcements will be aircraft, as aircraft will be the quickest unit to reinforce the front lines. I will also be producing a lot of ground units using all the factories I will have taken in this offensive. I will also be forming a strong naval blockade on the coastline to provide shore bombardment and also to prevent any sort of attack from behind. Meanwhile, my submarines will be convoy raiding to prevent any quick reinforcements from Angola, and also they'll be in the Mediterranean to convoy raid as well to prevent their armies from Europe to return to Africa. And once this is completed, and I have this great foothold into Africa, then I should be easily able to push into the rest of Africa and take it over. And that concludes the planning phase of Operation Pangaea. Please watch my upcoming series on Operation Pangaea to see if everything turns out the way I hope. That concludes this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, leave a like, and I will see you on the battlefield.